Hi guys, welcome back to Sacred Vedic Astrology. My name is Samantha and I feel so blessed and so lucky to be a professional Vedic astrologer. So I have my videos where we go into the full chart, and then I have videos where we're really honing in on one aspect to teach you something more specific through the Vedic astrological chart. So today we are going to discuss the very controversial topic of retrograde planets and retrograde energy in the chart. Now, the reason I say controversial is just because a lot of astrologers have varying opinions, right? A lot of the ancient texts for Vedic astrology will say retrograde planets are stronger, retrograde planets are stronger. I don't find that to be true, right? Nor do I find retrograde planets to be weaker. So I don't see a retrograde planet as weaker or stronger. I actually just see a retrograde planet as more passive in the chart. It's more passive. It's more of a choice for that person, and it will bloom in their life a bit later on. The energy of that retrograde planet, whatever houses it's ruling, it's really going to come into fruition as someone gets older, as they get into their late 20s, into their 30s, into their 40s, etc. That's when the retrograde energy starts actually getting activated in someone's life experience. Okay. And I have such an amazing example for us to analyze today because it's eerily spot on, okay? Because we're going to get two houses ruled by retrograde planets that both played out in this person's life to the point where she talks about it verbatim, like verbatim. We'll get into that. Okay. So we are going to look into the Vedic astrological chart of the iconic Diane Keaton, who unfortunately recently did pass. Oh my goodness, she was so unique and so interesting and so talented. Like, such an iconic, talented person and just so cool, so authentic. I feel like she really lived her life authentically, walked her own path. She was really, really cool, really powerful, and, just a cool vibe. Okay. So the reason we are using her charts is, yes, because she is so iconic and, someone to really remember. But another reason is because she famously never got married and she had children in her 50s, right? So she adopted these two children in her 50s. So, as an astrologer, I'm like, okay, I need to analyze her 5th house and her 7th house to see what was going on, of course. And so it just so happens that the ruler of her 5th house is retrograde of children, and the ruler of her 7th house of marriage is also retrograde. Okay. So these two themes in Diane Keaton's life take on that retrograde planetary influence, right? So we are going to unravel this because it's going to teach us a lot, right, about retrograde energy, what happens when the planetary rulers are retrograde, and also how it has played out in someone's life who openly has, spoken about that influence, how both things she was kind of passive about, she had questions about, does she want to do it? Both things were more so a thought for her later on in life. All right, really fascinating, really eerily spot on. Okay, so let's start analyzing what happens when planetary house rulerships become retrograde. Okay, so here we have the infamous Diane Keaton's Vedic astrological chart. Oh my gosh, it is such a fascinating one. If you guys are interested in astrology, which I'm sure you are, but in the sense of how to read charts to some degree, you're going to look at this packed 3rd house in Sagittarius and be like, whoa, whoa, what's going on there? That's all the creative talent, right? 3rd house is the house of the arts. It's performing, it's music, it's dance, it's drama, it's creativity, it's energy, it's willpower, it's drive, it's ambition. And her sun is there, Venus is there, Ketu is there, Mercury's there. Her 3rd house is so activated, so activated. Right? And then her 3rd house ruler is in her 1st house, and her 1st house ruler is in her 3rd house. So then we get this Parivartan Yoga exchange between 1st house and 3rd house. Oh my goodness, this is probably one of the most powerful 3rd house energies I've seen in someone's chart. So it's one of those charts where she was absolutely destined to be an artist and a performer. I don't even know what else it would be based on this chart. So it's extremely powerful. And I know we're going to focus on the retrograde rulerships, but I just have to throw in that Parivartan Yoga because it's shocking how powerful this chart is for the arts. First house is Libra, ruled by Venus. Venus is in the third. Venus likes to be in Libra, right? So Venus loves Libra, Jupiter loves Sagittarius. So then Venus and Jupiter are exchanging signs, Parivartan Yoga, between the first house, third house. Third house rulers in the first house rulers in the third. Jupiter gets stronger, Venus gets stronger. First house of fame and recognition gets stronger. Third house of creativity, performing, and the arts gets stronger. It's insanely potent, right? And then I just have to throw in one more thing here, guys. The moon does aspect her 10th house of Cancer, right? Moon is fame, recognition, the public, women, onto the 10th house. And then we also get a Chandramangal Yoga, right? Moon opposite Mars. So that's really, really powerful as well, too. That's giving her that fame, that recognition aspect. The first house is strong, Parivartan Yoga. Jupiter's in the first. Moon aspects 10th of fame. All right. Such a powerful chart. Okay. So had to put that little piece in. All right. So let us start analyzing the retrograde planets in the chart. So we look at her chart, we see this powerhouse of art and creativity and performing and fame and recognition. Yes, we do. And then we see that Mars is retrograde and Saturn is retrograde. So what's important about this is I don't want us to necessarily focus on Mars retrograde in the 10th house or Saturn retrograde in the 9th house. I actually want to focus on the fact that the ruler of the 5th house and the 7th house become retrograde, because that's actually going to show us so much about how the planets are performing. So in Diane Keaton's charts, her 5th house is Aquarius, right? So that means that the 5th house gets ruled by Saturn, okay? So 5th house is children. Quite literally, that is the house that we always analyze for children. Can someone have children? Should they have children? Is children going to go well for them, or is it going to be a little bit more malefic, right? A little bit more difficult. And the reason that's important is because it actually validates a lot of people's experiences, right? Like, I get so many clients where I talk to them about their afflictions on their 5th house. And I'm like, you know what? For you children, it's a choice. Like, you can absolutely do it, but don't feel like you have to, because you have some more negative influences in the chart that might make it more difficult. Maybe it happens later on. And people actually feel so much relief from that because they're like, oh my God, I actually don't know if I want children. I actually have medical issues with having children. And so when they hear that, they actually feel very validated in their choices and their experience, right? So that's why it's really important to analyze the 5th house of children, especially, of course, for women's charts. So 5th house is ruled by Saturn, okay? It's next to Rahu, and the Saturn is retrograde. So see how Saturn right here has an RX next to it? That is a retrograde planet. All right, so Saturn, which rules the 5th house of children, is now retrograde. So that means for her children become a choice, whether she wants to do it or whether she doesn't want to do it. It's more passive, it's more internal, it's more introspective. It's more about whether she wants to activate that energy or not, right? Does she want to do it? Does she not want to do it? It's up to her, right? That's the energy of a retrograde planet. It becomes more of a choice for that person. And it also is something that will come into someone's consciousness. They'll think about it as they get older. It's going to develop later on in life, okay? So Diane Keaton adopted 2 children when she was in her 50s. That is much later on in life. She wasn't even really thinking about the children until she got to this later stage in her life, and that is the retrograde energy. It comes later, it's more passive, it's more of a choice. And it can be more non-conventional or non-traditional as well, too, because also her 5th ruler is near Rahu. So Rahu can be something foreign, something different, something unconventional. Rahu is also a kind of malefic influence. So when the 5th ruler is near Rahu, I would tell that person just to be careful with children, make sure that you're in like a good place medically, it's safe, etc., because that is another like malefic influence coming into the 5th ruler as well too. Okay, and I do believe Mars aspects her 5th house as well too. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, so her 5th ruler is retrograde. It's near Rahu, a malefic, and Mars by its 8th aspect also does aspect her 5th house. So then we get another malefic influence in the house of children, right? Which would show us that, again, she would just, it's not the most like flowing, synergetic part of the chart for her to have children. There's some blockages, restrictions, or issues at times as well too. Okay, so there is that, right? And we would say, oh, the 5th ruler is retrograde. You probably won't even want children or even really think about it until much later on in life, all right? So there is that. And I do wonder if she was in her Saturn dasha when she adopted her children, right? Because that's the ruler of the 5th house. So let's look that up real quick. That would be eerily spot on. Okay, so she adopted her children in 1996 and 2001. Oop! I have chills. Okay. Let's see. Oh my goodness. She literally adopted her children right when she entered her Saturn dasha. Okay. So 1994, she started the Saturn dasha, which is the ruler of the 5th house of children. And then she adopts those 2 children in the dasha that rules the 5th house of children. Yes, she does. All right. Okay. So there's that, right? That's the ruler of the 5th house. That is the house of children. Okay, now let us hop over to the 7th house. So in her chart, her 7th house is Aries right here, right? So it gets ruled by Mars. Okay. So 7th ruler is in the 10th house and it is retrograde. So what's really fascinating about the 7th ruler being retrograde in the 10th house is that she says that she never really wanted to marry. Like it was something she wasn't that interested in, right? So the 7th ruler is retrograde. It's passive. It's more introspective. It's more internal. It's more of a choice for her. Does she want to do it? Does she not want to do it? It's up to her. And it's in the 10th house of career, okay? And she famously, I think she only dated men that were in her similar career field. Like she was with Woody Allen for a while, and then she was with this other, was it Al Pacino? I think it was also Al Pacino, who I love Al Pacino so much. Oh my goodness. That man, when he was younger, was so gorgeous. But so her 7th ruler is retrograde, so it's a choice. Does she want to marry? Does she not want to get married? It's up to her. It's her choice. It's something that's more passive. If she wants to do it, she's going to have to go out and activate it. She's going to have to be like, okay, I do want to get married. But she really didn't want to. So the 7th ruler is retrograde. It's a choice. It's also in her 10th house of career, right? So she dates people famously that are adjacent to her similar career field because it's in that house of career, quite literally. How much more specific can we get here? Okay, and the 7th ruler is retrograde, but it's also debilitated because the 7th house ruler is in Cancer. Mars is debilitated in Cancer. Okay, so now we also get a 7th house issue. If she were to get married, this is the kind of chart where I would say, maybe don't do it. Maybe don't do it. Because the 7th ruler is retrograde and it is debilitated. It is aspected by the moon, so we get some positive influence. Jupiter is on her 7th. Some positive influence, but again, if she doesn't want to do it, it's one of those charts where I would say really don't even worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's not something that this chart really needs because it's passive, it's retrograde, it's a choice, and the 7th ruler is debilitated. So there'd probably be like some fighting, some friction in the married life, which she actually does talk about, that like all the people she was with, she was like, we would not have done well in a marriage. And I'm like, yeah, your 7th ruler is debilitated. Probably not. So it's very fascinating how these things play out and how people speak verbatim about the astrology, right? They don't know that they're talking about their Vedic astrological chart, but they're saying things that are directly reflected in the chart. Now, in the D9 Navamsha, her 7th ruler is also retrograde. Oh my goodness. Okay, so the 7th house is Scorpio. It's retrograde in the 4th house. Yeah, so Mars rules her 7th house in the D1 and the D9 Navamsha, which I find very fascinating because that's going to give this like Mars influence, right? People that are more aggressive, there can be fighting, there can be friction, there could be passion, lots of passion in the relationships, but they're not so stable when we get a lot of Mars influence, right? And then because her moon is in the 4th house of Capricorn in the D1, 7th from the moon, Chandra Lagna, is Mars again. There it is. We get more of that Mars influence. So this is one of those charts where I would absolutely start talking about Mars. And I would say, you know, you're drawn to passionate, exciting, creative relationships. But with that Mars influence, then the fighting and the friction and the tension comes in. And it's not always so positive or healthy when we get a lot of Mars influence on the 7th. Okay. All right, so that is the 7th house, right? They're going to be connected to her career. She's going to be drawn to passionate people, creative people with a lot of energy and drive and life force. Her Dark Arca is also Mercury in the 3rd house, so she's also going to intellectually stimulating relationships. 3rd house is arts, performing. She wants someone who's creative, performative, like that, and that's pretty much everyone she was always in relationships with. All right. So 7th ruler is retrograde, 5th ruler is retrograde, children become a choice, marriage becomes a choice, it's more passive, it's more, it could happen, it could not happen, but it's also something that would not come into fruition until much later on in life, definitely after the 20s, going into the 30s. Like when someone has retrograde influence and Mars influences the 7th, those are the charts where I tell someone, just wait, like just really wait for marriage because you're probably not going to pick the right person the first go around. Like the first person that you're like, maybe this is the person I marry. If there's a lot of like Kuja dosha influence, a lot of Mars with the 7th ruler is retrograde, or like Saturn's influencing the 7th, those are the charts where I tell people just wait. Like just wait for marriage because it's before it's like, if you're not well developed in that energy, you're going to choose the wrong person. And those are the charts where if they do marry young, they usually get divorced. Okay. All right. So that is the energy of whenever a retrograde planet is ruling a house. It doesn't mean it won't happen. It means it's passive. It's a choice if that person wants to go out and activate it or not, right? If a planet is retrograde, think about it as this like passive energy that someone can either grab and be like, okay, I do want to do that, or they can choose not to do it, and they're going to be fine either way, right? Because it's not going to be the thing that like sets their soul on fire if a planet is retrograde. It's going to be something that it's like, okay, if I do it, I'll be happy. If I don't do it, I'll be fine too. Like it can kind of go either way with a retrograde ruler, but also what I do find as well too, when, you know, a house ruling a retrograde planet, or when the ruler of your house is retrograde, it's very mental. It's like on their mind a lot, right? So it might be more of this like internal feeling they have where she probably thought a lot about kids. Do I want kids? She thought about marriage. Do I want marriage? But it's more in the mental, right? More so than it's like happening on the physical, okay? It's very like in someone's mind. All right. So that is the truth about retrograde energy. It's not stronger. It's not weaker, it's not better, it's not worse, it's just more passive, it's more introspective, it's more of a choice for that person. They have to go out there into the world and make it happen if they want it to happen, right? Like think about her adopting 2 kids when she was in her 50s, her 5th ruler of children is retrograde, so for her it's like if she wanted children, she had to go make that happen. She had to go take that free will and like, okay, I want to go adopt children, right? It was a choice for her. It was something she had to go out and do. And I was watching this interview of her because I trying to do more research before I do like these chart analysis videos, because you guys can let me know your thoughts, but I don't know if you guys like when I'm like doing research mid-video. To me, I like it because I think it's authentic, and I think you guys are actually like getting my real-time reaction of being like, oh, is this true? And then I'm like, oh, this is true. But maybe, I'm not sure if you guys do like that, so maybe I'll just start doing more research before the videos. I kind of like when I don't, but let me know your thoughts. And I was watching this interview of Diane Keaton, and she was basically saying, she's like, I didn't even think about marriage. She's like, that was not even on my mind until I was like 37. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's verbatim your 7th house of marriage being ruled by a retrograde planet. She's not even thinking about it. It's passive. It's not the main focus on her mind until later on in life. And she's like, I don't know, I was a late bloomer with the marriage. And I'm like, it's in the chart. It's in the chart. So really, really interesting. And again, I try not to take it so black and white with retrograde planets. It's not, oh my God, your Mercury's retrograde, you're stronger. Oh my God, your Mercury's retrograde, it's weaker. It's really not that. It's not that. It's going to be something that's more internal. It's more passive. It comes later on to someone. When it does come, they can be like deeply connected to it, deeply fascinated by it. But it's something they have to go make happen or activate, right? So she also said she loved motherhood. She loves being a mother. It went well for her, but it was later on in life. It was passive. She had to go out and make it happen. It was also non-traditional, unconventional. That's also retrograde energy. I find there can be something that's just different, a little bit more unconventional about the energy as well too. All right. And let me know if you guys want me to do like another video where I do more of a deep dive into her chart, because she has one of the most fascinating, like powerful, creative charts I've ever seen. Like, just look at this 3rd house. Just look at that. It's pretty wild, right? Pretty crazy. All right, and something else I have been noticing in chart analysis videos lately is a lot of artists, a lot of creative types have Saturn influencing their Venus, which is something that we wouldn't think, right? We wouldn't necessarily think that, but I do think Saturn would give the drive and the structure to Venus to make them actually go out and pursue the arts and the creativity in a more disciplined, structured way. Also, I do see a lot of charts where Saturn influencing Venus will make someone blocked or closed off in relationships, or there can be relationship issues as well too. Okay. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts down below. Comment, like, and subscribe for so much more content coming soon. I feel really inspired at this time, so really exciting. Jupiter is transiting my natal Venus in my 2nd house, so I'm just like talking and communicating and, you know, expressing as much as I can. And if you guys want a personal reading, you can always book that. My link down below in the bio, and I have some new offerings on there for you guys as well too. So I have this new offering where it's 1 question about your chart, because I get that all the time where someone's like, what does this mean? What is this in my chart? So I made a offering where you can just ask 1 simple, quick question about your chart, and I'll get back to you. And then I also have another session that's a quick 30-minute reading for someone who just wants a quick check-in about 1 part of their chart as well too. So make sure to check that out if you guys just want a little sneak peek into the beauty of Vedic astrology without going so in depth, without doing the full chart analysis as well too. All right, so let me know your thoughts down below. I hope you guys are having such a beautiful, blessed day, and we will talk soon. Bye, guys.